Hello, Eddy and Mama Sin. Thank you so much.
Hi.
And just for letting you know, Mama Sin is the wife of Eddy Korwa. Thank you so much, Eddy, as well, for giving West Papua Women Office opportunity for talk about Eddy Korwa books, The Stowaway from Sorong to Rotterdam. So the book tells the extraordinary story of a young West Papuan who fled his homeland in 1964 on Dutch cargo ship, which is a 12 months after Indonesia occupations. Andy wrote the story with Eddy, so congratulations that you guys have been published the book in Dutch version. And congratulations as well, Andy, for helping Eddy to bring his story to life. So, do you mind to explain to us and tell us about how you become involved in helping Eddy to create his book?
There's a long version and a short version for this answer.
Yes.
The short version is I was an activist for Timor-Leste in the Netherlands, and that is also why I knew Papuan activists, because we usually meet in front of the Indonesian embassy while being activists. So Eddy was already in my life, and some of his sons also. And the youngest son, named Geoffrey, much later became my housemate. He moved into my house when I was in Timor and never left. He was supposed to house sit, but after house sitting for 1 year, he stayed, which was very, very good. And it was actually his son Geoffrey that pushed me.
Yeah.
To write first, to actually just document, digitalize Eddy's documents.
Yes.
That's just before I knew that digitalizing his documents would end up in writing the whole story. So it was a promise to Geoffrey.
Wow.
Geoffrey passed away. Geoffrey himself passed away 6 months after Eddy and I started writing.
So I also know that it's take like 6 years for you and Eddy to create the books. Do you mind to like explain like the process of creating the book or collecting the story and then put it in the book?
Yeah, it took 6 years. You're right. First of all, because we had a long break after Geoffrey passed away, we needed to reconsider, and finally we decided to pick it up again after a few months.
Yeah.
But what took a lot of time was I am Dutch, and Eddy was Biaki. He was so different when telling a story. Something we never realized, because we knew each other for such a long time and always communicated well.
Yeah.
Until I tried to make a chronological story, but I found out that Eddy was hopping through the time from Rotterdam to Vanuatu, back to Papua. So sometimes it was driving me crazy, like, where are we?
Yeah.
So after a while, I found the key, or actually we found the key,
yeah,
of how to put together the Papuan way of telling a story, or the Miyaki way of telling a story, into a concept that is understandable for people who read in the West. So I don't want to change Eddy into somebody from the West, but I need people from the West to read his story. That is why we had to change the concept. So when I found out that Eddy's way of talking, of telling the story, is jumping through the time, because he makes associations. He talks about what happens in Rotterdam, then he feels the association with something that will happen 10 years later in Vanuatu. So how to put this together and keep it logical? So we developed a new way. It's like, okay, let's divide your life in 12 important stages of life.
Yep.
Chapters after important stages.
Yeah.
So in the laptop, I would have all 12 chapters open, and Eddy would start talking, and I would just put the notes in the right chapter.
Incredible.
Like, where is this? This is Vanuatu. Okay, I'll put it in the other. Hang on, I need to switch.
Yeah.
Continue talking. Oh, now we're back in Rotterdam. I need to switch.
Wow.
So it worked. And then, of course, after we've done that, and then after we've been writing for years to get all these stories, then we had to sit together and put all the notes per chapter together in a interesting story per chapter.
Wow.
So yeah, actually, so what we did was we found the key.
Yeah. And it's such as like amazing work that both you and Eddy have done. And let's move to the journey, the first journey that Eddy, how Eddy flew from Sorong to Rotterdam. And what was the most like outstanding events from his travel from Sorong to Rotterdam that you can tell us a little bit?
Well, drama number one, a positive drama, but like unbelievable, something I never believed. Yeah. As long as I knew Eddy, I knew the story, and I never really believed it, that his childhood pen pal was on board of that ship.
Yeah.
So his correspondence friend from primary school, named Leo, was on board of that ship. That's incredible. That is also why I never really believed the story. Like, no, that is such a big coincidence. This cannot really be true. But I met the pen pal, I met Leo, and yes, the story is very, very true.
Wow.
Which is like unbelievable. That is why I mean, you have to read the book to see how incredible this reunion was between the two friends.
Yeah.
On board of that ship. That's number one. Number two, because there's three very, very remarkable things.
Yeah.
Number two is when the boat, the ship, cruised through the Middle East.
Yeah.
That's where Eddy realized that the names of the cities and the countries where he was passing with the ship, he realized that those names were not in heaven, but on earth.
Yeah.
Like he knew those names only from the Bible and the Bible class. And then he realized for the first time that how real and how realistic it was to actually sail through those countries and pass those names, those places on earth and not in heaven. That's number two. And number three, the most remarkable, the most dramatic scenes in the book are that how the Indonesians actually tracked the ship for only two Papuan
Yeah.
refugees. They tracked the boat. They tracked it in Australia, in Sumatra.
Yeah.
They checked it. So
Mm.
when the boat finally, like first in Australia, they are they are kept in a cell for a moment, just as long as the ship is docked, to be brought back on board when the ship will continue. That's where they have this encounter with Indonesia actually knowing where they are
Yeah.
and trying to get them back. Then they've been on board for weeks and weeks. They've already passed so many countries. And then there's a short stop at Sumatra, Indonesia again, just before setting sail towards the Middle East.
Yeah.
And then there's these two so-called Indonesian journalists,
Yeah.
where luckily the captain, who did not like Eddy, but at least the captain realized that these would not be true journalists, but these were probably intel,
Yeah.
trying to get them off board and have them arrested and sent back to Papua, or worse. So it's incredible, like these were two very common, hardworking young boys.
And then they,
And Indonesia made such a fuss to track them, to stop them from fleeing to the Netherlands.
and having like facing a lot of, a lot of drama, a lot of things on on his journey. When when Eddie and Tony finally arrive in Netherlands, what happens? Like, what kind of like welcome or like challenges did they face as, as a refugee?
The captain says, "Well, welcome in the Netherlands.
Mm.
You're home." But then they are brought to the immigration police, and they get told that, well, they will be sent back to Indonesia with the next ship. Um, they are put in the cell. So there was like lots of negative,
Yeah.
scary moments. At the same time, some of the policemen at the immigration department
Yeah.
were very, very supportive. Like one of them actually informed, yeah, informed Eddy that he just came back from service in Papua, and he was actually married to a Papuan lady.
Yeah.
And he also informed Eddy and Tony, like, look, no debate, no debate. Just say, we request asylum.
Yeah.
They will have to handle your case if that is what you say.
Yeah.
So he actually helped them. He instructed them how to play the game.
Mm.
And he was very, very supportive.
Yeah.
And it is also one of those moments that Eddy refers to many times in the book. This is when the Dutch people still knew who the Papuans are.
Yeah.
What debt the Dutch have
Yeah.
towards the Papuans. Like, if you can help Papuan people, you have to help, because the problems that we are the ones that cause the trouble,
Yeah. Yeah.
by turning their back. So yes, this policeman was, of course, a blessing,
Yeah.
that he knew exactly why they came to the Netherlands. They understood exactly what they were going through. His wife was a Papuan. He knew exactly what they were talking about.
Mm.
And then, of course, also wonderful that after Eddy presents this newspaper article,
Yeah.
with the State Secretary Bot
Yeah.
making those promises that the Dutch would have forever be in debt towards the Papuans.
Yeah.
They get sent to a youth hostel while waiting for the process.
Mm.
And a local journalist writes about them,
Yeah.
about this story, puts it in a local newspaper,
Yeah.
and then the newspaper is read by Eddy's former carpenter teacher
Yeah.
in Papua.
Oh, wow.
And he comes to the youth hostel and says, I'm taking him home, I'm taking him with me.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, listening to Eddy's stories for years and years and years before we started thinking about the book, I always thought they were just big stories because one coincidence after another.
Yeah.
But all these coincidences were true. They all happened.
For the last questions, I have in here is, what do you think is the enduring message of Eddy's books that reader can take?
Oh, the last message.
Yes.
I would say the most important message, because Eddy's not there to ask, so I'll have to talk for him now. But his message would be, you have to stand together.
Mm.
If you don't stand together, if you just fuss and fight amongst each other, you are wasting time and energy.
Yes.
While your enemy is laughing.